Hello and welcome to the training video where we're going to be looking at ad serve and campaign management. So what is ad serving? Well, ad serving is a widget where we can bring in third-party advertising platforms. So before we get started and bring in an ad platform, the first thing we can do is look at the support center, which has a lot of useful links and information to aid you in bringing in the ad platform. If I navigate to the support platform, and if you just simply type in add widget and then scroll to the very bottom, you'll see that we've got the instructions for the four most popular ones. And if you, for example, wanted to find out how to bring in Hivestack, all you will need to do is simply click on Hivestack, and then you have step-by-step instructions on how to bring in that particular ad platform. Now that we know where to find the most commonly used ad platforms, if we navigate back to our digital signage platform, we can start the process to actually bring in our very own ad platform. So now we're on the creatives, we're going to make our first creative or presentation. To do this, if we navigate over to the right hand side and if we click on the blue plus button and click create, we now have a choice. We can either use a pre-made template where we can edit the content, or we can start with a blank page. For this training video, we're going to start with a blank page. So I'm simply going to click on the plus symbol again. Now we're within our creative. On the left hand side are my widgets, and this is how I bring in my content. In the middle of the screen is my canvas, and this is what will eventually be published to the screen. And on the right hand side are my options, and the options will change depending on which widget I have currently chosen. At the moment, I'm on the default options for the canvas. So the first thing I'm going to do is rename my creative, and I'm just going to call this one ad serving training. And I'm going to call it Hivestack because that's the brand that I'm going to bring in. So now that I've named my creative, I need to choose the appropriate widget to be able to bring in my ad platform. And to do this, I'm going to move over to my widgets on the left hand side. And if we move down to the advanced section, the very first widget is the ad serving widget. To add this, I can either left click on it and then simply move my mouse over onto my canvas and let go. Alternatively, if I simply click on it once, it will then appear in the middle of my canvas. If I want to move my widget around my canvas, if I simply move the mouse to the middle of the widget, press and hold down my mouse button, and all the time it's pressed down, I can move it around my canvas. Now that I've chosen a suitable place for it, I would like to resize it. I can either move my cursor to the side or the corners until my cursor changes, and then again simply hold your mouse button and then pull or push to change the size of the widget. Alternatively, if we move to the top of the page and click on the four opposite arrows, it will then make my widget full screen. Now that my widget has taken up all of my canvas, we can now add in the information to bring in the ad platform. If I move over to the right hand side, you will see that we're now on the ad serving widget. And the reason for this is it was the last icon I clicked on. Underneath, we have a drop down menu. I can now choose which ad serving platform I'm currently using. To simply choose one, click on it once, and it will then give you the options for the information we need to enter to be able to bring in that ad platform. As you can see, on this particular one, all we need to do is put in the owner and type in the key. If we were going to bring it in purely by the device, we would just type in the device address. To change it, just simply move up to the vendor and use the drop down menu, and I'm now going to choose ViStar. With ViStar, I would need to enter the network ID, API key, vendor ID, device ID, and I would need to choose it live. If I now go over to Tiva, I would need to add in the publisher key, device ID, IP address, latitude and longitude, choose the venue type, whether it's bars, casual dining, or QSR. I can then choose the resolution, post the length of each advert and how many adverts I would like to show, and I can choose whether to have sound or not. If I now change that and go to Hivestack, all we would need to add in is an API key, screen ID, and turn it to live. If I now go to BroadSign, I would add in API key, the device ID. I can now add in the screen width, the screen height, the maximum duration, as well as the media that I want to show, and then the dealer ID, which is optional. The last one on the list that we can bring in is Screenverse, and I would need to add in the network ID, API key, vendor ID, and device ID, and turn it to live. On each one of these, you will be able to get the information directly from the appropriate platform. In this video, we're going to bring in Hivestack. Now that I've chosen Hivestack, all I need to do is paste in my API key. Now my API key has been added in, all I will need to do is add in my screen ID and then turn it to a live advert. Because it's now full screen, I've added in all of the relevant information. The last step for me to do would be to click Save. Now that my canvas has been saved, I'm going to click on the X to go back to the main page. Now the creative is ready, we're going to add our creative to our playlist. If we move up to the very top of the screen and click onto Playlists, you'll see I've currently got 3 separate playlists. The playlist that I'm currently using on my screen is called Training Video. So I'm going to move up and click onto the Edit button. Currently, I have 4 different presentations rotating after each other. Now I'm going to add in my ad serve. I'm going to add it in 3 times. Now that I've added it 3 times, I can simply left click and drag it so that it's going to be displayed after each presentation. If I want to make some amendments, for example, I may only want it to show on certain days or certain times. If I simply click onto the calendar, it will open up for me. I can now choose which days of the week I would like it to appear. So it may be I don't want it to be shown on a Monday or a Wednesday. I can simply untick the days I want it to be hidden. I can click on reoccurring meeting, and I might say, well, it's only for a certain period of time. So it may be that I would only like it to be shown for next month. So if I choose March and say I only want it to start on the 2nd of March, and I can then have it running forevermore. Alternatively, I could say I want it to end on the 6th. It may be I have a different presentation I want to run the following week, but I would like this one to resume the week after. I can then click Add Date, and I can repeat exactly the same process again. So if I go into March, and I'm going to have it start on the 16th, and I'm going to have it end on the 20th. As you can see, we can continuously just keep adding the different dates all the way through if we wanted to. We could, if we wanted to, instead of having it playing all day, if I untick all day, I could choose from a set time in the morning until a set time later on in the day. So for example, we may want it to run from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the morning. Click Add Time, and we can just keep on adding as many times as we would like to. If you want to remove the time range, just simply click Time Remove and then re-choose All Day if you wish to. Once you've set up the current schedule, we can simply click Add and we can see that it's now been scheduled. Each one could be scheduled for different days and times if you so wished. Now that I have my playlist set up, all I need to do is click Update. And if I go to my screens, and the current screen that is playing this playlist is screen 2. So if I click onto play, it will then give me a live view. And in a moment, we're going to see the ad being played on the next canvas. Now we can see that our Hivestack ad platform is currently displaying on the screen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.